right now. Want to talk about Israel's intelligence failures leading up to the Hamas attack. Joining us right now for that is Andrew Borene, is a former senior official in the U.S. Office of the Director of National Intelligence. He's executive director now of Flashpoint. Good morning to you. Let's talk about the failure, but I also want to talk about it in the context of the relationship, frankly, that Israel was trying to mount with Saudi Arabia. And one of the reasons I mention this is I think that Saudi looked at Israel as one of the great intelligence, national defense and intelligence countries in the world. And this is now putting that into question. When you look at the failure, where does it start?
Yeah, I mean, I think first off, what we need to focus on is not blaming any intelligence service, Israeli or any of the allies. I think that we need to zoom out here for a moment and recognize that perhaps there was a much broader policy failure and kind of a public perception failure that Hamas would be acting as kind of a rational, responsible state administrator in Gaza. They had more than 15 years to administer Gaza. They've had more than 15 years to prepare not only the terrorist attacks, but also prepare ambushes, prepare to use human shields. They took hostages from more than 30 countries. And right now, what we need to do is support those intelligence services as they seek locations, proof of life, any indications of movement of hostages, and frankly, also prepare to protect innocent civilians who will be in the way of what appears to be a very significant ground offensive coming. And that's all sides. There are more than 2 million people live in these regions where we're likely to see a ground war in the near future, right, where there, again, are possibly up to 200 hostages from more than 30 countries. And we at Flashpoint are actively monitoring chatter by terrorist groups aligned with Iran, by proxy actors aligned with Russia, by any really transnational organized criminal activity that could threaten those people or critical infrastructure in the region. But again, the policy failure, I think, is what is an inescapable conclusion. And right now, we have to keep morale up with intelligence services, not just in Israel, but from all of those 30-plus allied countries.
Andrew, you work with 50 different governments, 15 of the world's largest banks. What is the lesson for your firm in all of this?
Well, I mean, this terrorist attack by Hamas took the world by surprise. And I think one of the lessons we're watching is a couple of things. We saw, while not significant, sophisticated cyber attacks, we did see some use of distributed denial of service or server flooding by sympathetic groups right in the immediate wake of the launch of Hamas's terrorist attacks inside of Israel. We are actively monitoring and we are observing a number of hacktivist groups, some of them aligned with Iran in the past, some of them aligned with Russia in the past. But we are seeing and keeping a very close eye on chatter for any expansion of cyber activity. And I think one of the concerns we have is that those actors backed by states, by adversaries, not only to Israel, but to other allied nations, could escalate and start attacking critical infrastructure, which would make life even much worse for innocent civilians who live in Gaza. Right. So we've really got to keep an eye on all kinds of issues. Right. And the last one I would add is the risk of global expansion of violence. So at the local law enforcement in those 50-plus countries that we work with and federal law enforcement, we are also actively monitoring and supporting any indications we see of lone wolf terrorism. We've already seen violence in France. We've seen violence in the United States targeting people on diaspora populations on either side of this conflict. And we're seeing a spike in anti-Semitism here in London and elsewhere. So there is a lot to watch out for. And for all of our clients, whether they are governments or in the private sector, we are very actively working to protect them, not only in cyberspace, but also their physical resources and their personnel wherever they are in the world.
Andrew, we keep hearing all of these lone wolf concerns and warnings about these things. Is this more of a warning or a watch at this point? I'm thinking of tornado watch versus a tornado warning.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very good analogy. I grew up in Minnesota. We get a lot of tornado warnings, and then it moves to a tornado watch when it's on the ground. And I think we are very much in a watching terrorist groups. We're also watching accelerationist groups in all over the planet, really, whether it's here in London or in Paris, Washington, D.C., New York City, any other global capitals where there are demonstrations forming. We know that adversaries of not only Israel, but of the United States, of free societies like the United Kingdom and all of the NATO members, we know that there are adversaries who will seek to accelerate conflict and generate political violence between groups. So we are actively supporting our clients also with help in identifying potential misinformation or disinformation campaigns. And we are cautioning everyone, not just our clients, but everyone, to be very cautious in terms of believing what they see on social media in the short term, because we are already seeing misinformation and propaganda campaigns from all over the planet. Anybody can contribute to that kind of chaos, even if they're not in the Middle East.